Hey everybody, I am back in Posen, and although it doesn't look like gardening weather, I still have some things I got to get done over in the greenhouse. So I'm gonna head over there. I'll take you along. I was hoping that before the snow fell, I would be able to do some of my little experiments out there with cardboard and mulch versus just mulch, but I don't think I'm gonna get to that. And I think I'm gonna regret not wearing a cap. We don't have the heat on in the greenhouses. It's not sunny today, so it's probably gonna be a little cold in there, but I just have to be in there for a little while. So let's pop in there and make a go of it. Okay, grab my paperwork. And we're gonna head down to the back in greenhouse 3.5. And back there we got some pallets delivered for some of the product that we'll be using next spring. And we often get our stuff delivered this time of year just because it kind of takes some of the pressure off in the spring for all the things that we have to go through. We don't have to process quite as much stuff. Also means that if something isn't going to arrive, we have a little time to kind of recover from that and find plan B for any of that. But anytime this stuff comes in, we do want to get a little count of it to see if we were shorted anything and go from there. So there's the pallets there. So sorry, we've got a mess up back here, but no big deal. I have to admit, counting boxes on pallets is unexpectedly difficult when you haven't done it in a while, and that's because all the boxes are facing different directions and it's so easy to double count a box. So I have to be really careful when I do this. Really, the easiest way is to take things off the pallet and put it on another pallet, but there's only 3 pallets here. I should be able to figure this out. And I always, when I'm doing my counts, I always make sure to compare the number of boxes to the packing sheet and to the invoice, because those numbers can change from time to time and it can be very frustrating. Fortunately, everything I needed was here. Now let's take a look at some of the stuff that came in. The items I'm most excited about are probably these self-watering pots. They're from a company called Allgreen. So we're gonna give these a try. They're a lot different than the aqua pots that we've used before, because on these, it's all one piece and the reservoir is built in, and you fill it through this hole here, which I can already tell this is a pretty tiny hole. So I'm gonna have to find like a special funnel for that or something. I'll have to watch some videos to see if they have any suggestions on that. There's 2 sizes and 2 finishes. So this one here has more of a stone type finish. I think it's got a nice kind of modern look to it. It's gonna look really good as far as a contrast because it's so simple. The other design is more of this kind of ribbed finish. Both of them look beautiful. They feel pretty good quality too. Actually, they feel excellent quality. So I'm looking forward to seeing how those are going to work, how they compare to an aqua pot. Then over here, we just have some regular containers. So this here is our standard hanging basket pot. So we do something a little nicer than what maybe you find in other places. I know that at some point, a lot of times the plants just cover the pot. So the container isn't such a big deal with a hanging basket, but people do have to look at this for at least a month when they take it home. So it's always nice to have something good to look at. And I think this nice chestnut color is really a good one. And I do have a question for you guys. These automatically come with plastic hangers, and some people are very against plastic hangers. They much prefer using the wire ones. I'm curious what you guys think. We've been using these for years and we haven't had any problems with it. People say that the wire ones are they're more durable, but you know, I kind of feel like I definitely can get at least 3 to 4 years out of these without a problem. I have had problems sometimes with the wire ones cracking the plastic if it's not a good plastic. So I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think on those. And then they did short us 1 case of these white Seneca pots. These are my favorite pots for hanging baskets. These are the ones where every time I put them in a video, people want to know, where did I get these? They're a standard pot that we're able to get, but I don't see them available online anywhere, so I don't have a good source for you on those. And then this is a really basic kind of oval planter, but it's got kind of a birch finish. I think that's just gonna be a nice, simple something to be able to put something in. Good Mother's Day type kind of planting that we can put in there. And then this was one container that they had on kind of a deep discount, and it's a nice enough finish. I think it actually is nice and simple. It's going to look good with plants in it. So I'm looking forward to that. The ones that I'm thinking are really nice are these urn planters, and this is the hanging basket. There's handles for it as well. I really like the finish on this. It kind of has that antique, almost Greek or Roman type of look to it. And one thing really nice about this one is that the base screws in. We've had some before where they just kind of pop in, and then if you go to move it or do anything like that, it ends up the top separates from the bottom, which would be kind of annoying. And then other things that we got in, there were some just basic black pots that we use for planting, and then some fans. So all necessities, but nothing too exciting. We have more stuff coming, and all kinds of different stuff on the way, but this is what I counted today, and thank goodness everything was there, because that's not always the case, or there's some kind of weird numbers thing going on. I've got to get back to some of my other projects, so we're going to head over into the greenhouse 4. Here they are, the Gerber daisies that I had got on QVC back in February. They've been through some freezing back here, and they've still managed. You can see this one got hit a little harder than the other ones, but they definitely need to start going dormant pretty soon. So I'm going to split these up. I'm going to put 2 of them in one of the outside greenhouses, and I think 2 of these in a storage area that stays just above freezing, because they're not hardy for our zone. We'll see how they do. Hopefully I can get them to winter over. Those 2 pots are tucked here among these bagged hydrangeas, and those bags of hydrangeas are going to help hopefully insulate those plants just a little bit, keep the temperature just a little bit higher for them, and hopefully they'll make it through the winter. They are not zone hardy in our area, and this is just a cold frame, so it's not insulated, it's not heated at all, but it does get a little bit of protection compared to what would be outside. So I'm hoping that they'll do okay. Fortunately, I have the other 2. I'm going to be putting those inside our storage area, our workroom area, and that area never gets below freezing, so hopefully everything works out okay. We have a lot of other shrubs in here as well, so I went and checked to see if they needed water, but all of the pots are frozen solid, and when the pots are frozen solid, there's no need to water. So that means that they had enough water when they kind of went into the freeze mode, and hopefully that's all we have to do. I did want to get in here before the snow got too deep, because it can be really hard to open those doors if we have a pile of snow in front of them. So I got lucky on that. I will try to check them. Normally we would check them once a month, but I have a feeling these in here are going to be fine unless we have a real heat wave and things get really warm and all these pots thaw. So usually we don't have to worry about it. We will check them again, definitely we should check them in February. Definitely by March, we have to make sure that if they need any water, that they get it. And then once we get into March, we start getting that warm-up mode. So then we watch these things very closely, because a lot of times they'll start sprouting or they'll need the water. You never know what's going to happen at that point. So those are my projects. I think the other thing I wanted to do today was clean out my van. We'll see what I can do about that. I've been hauling plants in it, and we've been doing art shows with it, and done no cleaning on it. It's just a total wreck. So I want to get that kind of tidied up a little bit too. So last thing on my list for right now. As I was heading up to go clean out the car, I remembered I have a couple of bulbs that are left over from the bulb lawn, and I had intended to plant them out, but right now ground is frozen. It'd be way too much work to shovel off the snow, dig the holes, trench the holes or whatever I'd do to chip away at the frozen soil. So I thought, I'm just going to stick them in containers, and we'll see what they do in the spring. I've done other bulbs in these. There aren't any like daffodils or tulips in here, but I think there's some hyacinths, and there's all kinds of random stuff that we use. So I'm going to give it a go, and I'll just keep them here in the greenhouse, and we'll see what happens. So I'll just open this bag up. I'm lucky I still had this bag, because all of our other ones that are outside are frozen. So we'll get some of this in. I'm going to make a mess, aren't I? I'm not under my normal conditions here. Kind of a woody mix. That'll be fine for bulbs. So I'm going to put this in. I'm going to cover the bottom. Put about at least 2 inches probably. There's probably about 3 inches in there. And then I'm hoping that I can get about 3 inches on top, because these are all small bulbs, so I don't think it's going to be too big a deal if they're not super deep. So there we go. That's not bad at all. We'll see what happens. And then I'm just going to throw them in just like I did on the lawn. Now there's a lot of sawdust in here, so I have to be careful that I don't get that too confused with what the bulbs are. This is pretty dense. I probably shouldn't plant them this close together, but what the heck, we're gonna give it a go. Otherwise they just would have ended up not doing anything. So we might as well just use them, right? Good little experiment and test. Let's see, I think I got all of them. There's one little baby one here. So now my goal is to get just a kind of a flat layer. I'm not worrying about if they're facing up or down. This is not one of those things that I need them to be perfect. I don't even know what I'm going to do with them. I'm just going to enjoy them in the springtime. So now we're going to cover them. And this soil is pretty wet, so I don't think I'm going to have to water them in before I put them in there, but I will check them. Well, I might even not get around to checking them because they'll be here and I might not be here. So I'm just going to roll with it. I might just add just a tiny bit of water to them, but I don't want them to sit in a real soggy mix. So we'll see what happens. I mean, bulbs are usually really forgiving. Bulbs tend to find a way. So we'll give it a go. So I'm just going to store them right here among these Heucheras, and I absolutely love Heucheras in the wintertime because they are semi-evergreen, and especially when we keep them in a protected area like this, they look great all winter long, and then in the spring they kind of have a jump start, so that's why we don't put them out there with all the other ones. The only thing in this area, the temperature doesn't get quite as cold, so we have to make sure that they don't dry out. But also Heucheras don't like sitting in soggy, wet soil, so we have to be careful of that, but they should be just fine. And thinking about winter, and as I was planting those bulbs, I was really concerned about those Gerber daisies in the cold frame. I looked at the Roberta's website, who produces or provides the plants for QVC, and right now they have those Gerber daisies listed as zone 5 through 9 or something like that. And I don't know, I knew when I bought them they were not a zone 5. So then I looked at a couple other sources and they're listed as a 6B, and we were just moved to a 5A. So that's like a whole zone and a half warmer than what we have. And I don't know if that cold frame is going to be protected enough and warm enough for them to survive. And I just feel like it might be a better experiment for me to have the ones that I have in the work area and then also put the other two maybe in the basement. And our basement's like an old school basement with a dirt floor, and that, you know, stays probably 40 degrees or something like that. So that might be a better option for them, and just to see, because I just feel like especially today when it's like 10 degrees outside, I'm like, oh, this is cold and it's only going to get colder. And I really want those things to survive because they're absolutely beautiful. And I guess if they don't, I have to be okay with that. But anyway, I think I'm going to feel better about it if I put them in the basement. I'd rather they died warm, I guess, than died from freezing. I don't know if that's really any kind of logic to play by, but that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to move those over, put them in the basement, then I'm going to work on the car. I can't help but think the universe put me in this corner for a reason. It's not just to put away my bulbs, but also so that I noticed that there's a couple of Heucheras that are kind of giving us a little cry for help. You can see these wilted leaves. That means it needs water. And it's really easy to, you know, when you're overwintering plants, to miss that. So I'm glad I saw it because I definitely caught them in time. So I'm just going to hand water only the ones that I feel light, but you can see because they're so dry, the water goes through them right away. So I'll give them some water today, and then I'll come back through probably tomorrow and check them again. And again, I'm going to have to lift every single one of these. Like this one needs water because I do not want them to be in really wet, slimy soil. So yeah, actually most of them are in really good shape, but there's a couple of them that are going to need just a little bit more water. And so that's the tricky part of overwintering plants. Thank goodness I just peeked on these now, because there probably would have been about 3 or 4 plants that probably would have been suffering in the springtime, if not dead by that point. So catching them now, perfect. So in addition to all the other random stuff I found, I also found plant tags for the charged up Dragonheart Coleus and the Color Rush Purple Petunia, Great Petunia. So who knows what else I'm going to find. I'm going to lift up these seats. These have not been opened in a long time. I don't even know what to expect. Let's see. Oh, fly swatter. Ooh. Pickling cucumber. Let's see, what can I do with this stuff? Fly swatter, why do we have one of those? Of all the things I did today, this was definitely my least favorite. This car was a complete mess, but in my defense, it is a work vehicle, so we use it to haul plants. We use it for art shows, we're using it for all kinds of stuff, and we're on the road a lot, so I'm just making up excuses. What was under here, I don't even know. There were so many bits of hydrangea and petunia petals and hibiscus leaves and all kinds of random stuff. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, it's really cold out here, so I need to get inside and warm up because it is too chilly to keep going out here without better clothes. So I'm gonna do that. This is not perfect, but hey, it's a world better than what it was just 15 minutes ago. So thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you guys all in the next video.